Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining me again. Today is part two of using your vibration plate with your children. I just want to flip into Facebook land, make sure everybody gets a chance to join in. If you did not see yesterday's post or join me for part one, we talked about some before, after school, just reasons in general as to why you might want to use your vibration plate with your children, especially for those of you that have been curious, and more so for those of you that may be fearful. A vibration plate is simply a tool, no different than a treadmill or an elliptical, but because there's a few variables, there's different movement types, sometimes the marketing and just the lack of access to quality information, sometimes there's a fear that just really is misplaced. Once you understand a vibration plate is simply an environment that you can exercise on, you can stretch on, you can do massage on, you'll understand that it again is just a tool to accelerate benefits, in a lot of cases reduce time that you have to spend doing exercises or stretches or whatever it is that you are physically performing on the machine. And for the vast majority of people, including children, really the big reason you want to consider using a plate is if you're looking to reduce impact, if you are physically unable to perform traditional activities, or you're looking at a way to ramp up recovery, and complement maybe some of the activities that you are doing from a performance standpoint. There's lots of ways you can use it. So again, it's just a tool, just like going to the gym. If you were working with a program or a trainer that led you in that program, there would be different components to it, different exercise positions, different abilities. So a vibration plate, not unlike a set of weights, nobody's going to be starting in the exact same place, and how you progress is going to be unique. So I really strive in these sessions to teach you to understand how to control the settings of your machine so that you can manipulate and understand how to use them, especially if you want to incorporate use with your little folks in your life. A littler body, the stimulation that the machine creates feels different than if you are, just a second here, I heard a ding. I just want to make sure somebody's not lost. I'm going to close off Facebook now. But if you are a parent, if you are working with a child and you need guidance as far as some sports specific stuff, there's lots of information, as I said in past videos here, or talk to your own local trainer, your coach, if there's actual exercises or stretches and things that your kids should be doing to enhance their performance. Doesn't mean that the workout would be the same for every member of the team. A vibration plate for a lot of my sports kids is a great way to target deficiencies or target strength gains in maybe specific areas that you're trying to improve. So today is a little bit different than what we talked about yesterday. Today I want to talk about a little bit more on the recovery side, and whether you realize or not, sleep, and when we go to sleep is when our body puts to work everything we've done throughout the course of the day. So today, for our children that are struggling with poor sleep, whether it's due to a busy mind, or perhaps they're dealing with growing pains. We talked a little bit about that yesterday, but that's going to overlap into today's session, which is better sleep tips and how to use your machine for recovery with your kids. Now, when we're dealing with little kids and hyperactive metabolisms or whatever it may be, they lack activity in general. And I talked yesterday very much about using a vibration plate as an activity to get your kids moving. They're so sedentary with all the conveniences and all the technology in their world today. So a vibration plate is a great way to just get things moving, but it's also a great way to help them get to sleep. The difference between the getting moving or the exercise piece and the getting to sleep piece is time and intensity. We want to swing that back and reduce the time and intensity, not just for our kids, but for everyone in general that's looking at using a vibration plate. You don't want to exhilarate yourself so much that your mind is racing, or your muscles, you can feel the circulation keeping you up. There's a bit of a balance and probably a little bit of experimentation on your own to decide what the best complement is as far as time and intensity. But if we start with some basic setting guidelines today, you can progress on your own and see what works best for you over time. Today, I'm using a couple of different tools. Again, today I'm working on the Rumblex 4D Plus. If you're dealing with chronic issues, which I deal a lot of, it's kind of my default. I prefer working with a flat surface. If you're more athletic, you're looking for more challenge, the curve may present more appeal to you. But all of my sessions are typically done on a flat surface plate, and all of my sessions are in oscillating movement, which is the primary movement of these machines. If you've got pulsation or lateral in some of the other combo models, it's simply think of it as a feature more than what these workouts specifically are done at. I want you to learn an oscillating, understand, because it has the most ways to manipulate the feeling. And then, the positions are kind of universal. Once you know the moves and the technique is there, use whatever preset program or speed feels comfortable to you. So the tool I'm adding to my vibration plate today is the Aero Flex Step. This is a step Life Pro came out with last year. I use it for a couple of different reasons, certainly athletic applications. But for today, I like to use it as a tool to give more body parts equal height surface with the machine. So it's just giving you more real estate to maneuver around down on the ground, which is what we're doing today. The other tool is your mat. If you had a mat included with your machine, not all the models do, but here's a secret. If you don't have one, get a nice thick yoga mat, a good sharp pair of scissors, and cut it to the size of your plate. I usually even cut out little markers for the buttons so I can see those. Some of the applications today, we're going to be on the knees, and you may want to pad up and just offer a little padding. If you're dealing with a very small child or individual, very thin, how your body absorbs and how the vibration feels varies. So you may want to use it simply for comfort. So today we are going to start. If you do not have a step, everything I'm doing can be done on the floor as well. The step just gives you a little bit more surface height to maneuver around on, as I said. The first position we're going to do is the calves, and sort of building on yesterday's discussion on growing pains. Primarily, I do see that, or I'm asked about it in the legs. So I wanted to show you some additional massage and stretch positions that are ideal before bed. We're going to, depending on the length of your legs or your child's legs, you want to make sure that your feet are just past, so the heels are off. The meaty part of the calves and perhaps a portion of the knees are lying on the surface of the plate. I'm not using a mat so you can see this a little bit better, but if you do want to mat up your machine, as I said, go for it. We are working in manual mode today. Oscillating movement is what I'm working with. And I want you, because we're doing massage positions, we're not standing, we're not bearing our weight. Usually you can tolerate a bit of a higher speed. And I prefer closer together with the legs for less shake, coupled with a faster speed. It's going to feel more tonic, more soothing, and you're going to get more movements in less time. So I want you, if you're working with a Rumblex, bring it up to a mid-range, 30, 40, if that feels comfortable. I'm at 35. If you are working on a Waver, a hex plate, the trim lights, any of the models that are strictly the foundational movement of oscillating, you have more speed ranges to play with to give you more variety. But the mid-range would be 50 to 60, 70 on some of the models that have higher speed levels, somewhere in the mid-range. And I say ranges because I want you guys to mix these poses up. There's not a lot of variety or change to the position, but you can mix it up by changing up your speed a little bit. Now, in this position, my legs are about hip width apart. My heels are comfortably off the edge of the platform. And we're just sitting in a relaxed position. This is going to get lots of circulation, blood flow into the lower legs. If your kids spend a lot of time seated or they've been playing some hard sports, this is a great way to wind down or warm up if that's something that you want to try as well. I would do this individual position if this is all you're doing. Total time before bed. Do it within about a half an hour to an hour before bed the first time out, and try 2 to 3 minutes total. We're going to go through a couple different exercises today. So if you want to try lots and lots of different things, reduce the time of each exercise. If you're just doing this one, if this is the area of trouble, This is where you want to target 1 to 2 minutes is probably adequate before you go to bed. A small variation on this one, pull the toes towards you. And without even leaning forward, you're going to feel a nice stretch on the back of the calves and on the knees. Do the opposite movement. Point those toes forward and you'll feel the shins, the top of the leg stretching. Do this rotation just as a variation while you're sitting here, all the while getting the benefit of the massage action. If you are very flexible and you're not feeling the stretch as deeply as you would like, slowly push forward with the chest. This is not flexible. We want to push forward with the chest and you'll feel that stretch get deeper. Hold, don't bounce. Okay, just hold, breathe, and come back up. You can do that on both variations. Reaching, 2, 3. 3 to 5 reps should bring you to about a minute, a little longer if it's feeling good. One more variation I want to add to this. For those of you that have swimming pools or live in warmer climates, this is not highly technical. This is a swimming pool noodle that I have chopped into chunks with a steak knife, the width of my platform. I've got 2 different versions. I've got the full version and one I've cut lengthways. If you have knee issues, the knees don't kind of directly lay on the plate. I have knee issues. A variation you could do on this one is wedge that pool noodle under the backs of the knees. If maybe you're accelerating some recovery, you've had a sprain, talk to your therapist. But if you're doing massage and light exercises, this is a great way to simply get the vibration, the stimulus into the joint. The back of the knee doesn't, like I say, lay directly on it. A traditional roller is a little bit hard. This is simply bridging the gap, and you can continue those exercises of pulling, lifting those calves or those toes, point, just a variation, okay? If you have tension on the inner or the outer edges of the knee, play with the angles of your body. Lean back and turn your feet to the right or turn them to the left. Experiment with while you're down here. You might say, hey, Debbie, my kid's got knee pain or calf pain. I think it's growing pain. Let them direct you as to where they want to position themselves. If you want a little more intensity, widening up the legs will increase movement, more impact. Mommy, if it's too strong, I don't like it, bring the feet closer. That reduces the amount of movement, reduces the intensity before you try altering the speed. Trust me on that, okay? The next variation we're going to do is a little bit modified from what we did yesterday. Yesterday, I did some variations sitting on the platform. The back of the hamstring, many of you with growing pains feel tension here, but many of you in my special needs group also have really tight muscles or extremely loose muscles in the back of the legs. The hamstring is a really key area. So I want you moving forward depending on the length of your legs or your child's legs, okay? This position, my butt is just off the back edge of the plate. My spine is not in contact with the machine. Not that that is harmful, but because I'm long in the legs, I can only get so much body part on there because I'm 5'10". If your child is under 4 feet, you'll probably get the bum and the back of the legs on directly. This is just a variation I wanted to show, especially for my sports enthusiasts. This is an awesome way to massage and relax the back of the hamstrings. If you want to turn it into a stretch, just like we did with the calves, pull those toes towards you and reach, okay? Another variation that you can do is add your aerobic or your aerobic step, the Aeroflex. Get those legs the same level as the platform. You're probably already going to feel more stretch, but pull those toes towards you and lean, hold, whatever feels most comfortable. Hold this for 3 to 5 seconds. Point, okay? So same stretch, but all we've done is instead of having the calves directly on the plate, we've now moved on and given the back of the thighs a little bit more direct more action into the hamstrings. The glutes, you'll hear it in my voice when the glutes and the bum get on the machine. Not harmful. I've already talked 10 minutes. Look at that. Okay, we're going to keep going. When you get the thighs and the glutes on, especially for my young ladies, we tend to have more yoga mats built in automatically here. Oh, hang on. You know what I did is I have an older model and I keep hitting the power button. Sometimes that's a reason to use a mat. Okay. If you find, you know, the calves intensity was fine, but you can handle a little bit more intensity on the thighs, feel free to increase the speed. You've got more generally in these areas to absorb the movement. And it's very much a personal thing on how it feels to you. So let your kids direct you. If they want to turn it up and it feels better, you have to trust them because they're experiencing it differently than you and they have different tolerances. Just keep the durations short before bed. So again, this is kind of a third variation. If you're liking these and you wanted to do the first 3 positions we've already tried, or the first 2 positions, maybe a minute per position is all we're leaning towards. And these are just variations that you can do while you're targeting this area. The very last one I want to show you is also a variation on a theme. It's not a difficult one to perform, but you are getting on the kneecaps and the shins. So I would suggest at this point, if you do not have a mat, to add a towel or folded up towel to give the knees and the shins a little bit of padding. And what we're going to do with this variation, I want your knees starting close to the center to begin with. We're going to simply kneel on the machine. Okay. And this is just going to loosen up all the movement that we've just absorbed in the massage. You know, if you find that the growing pain is in the outer thighs, the hips, you know, sometimes we don't think about it with our kids, but how does your back feel after sitting and leaning over a desk for 8 hours a day? They may not be feeling the chronic issues that you are, but they're certainly developing. So getting on the knees versus standing on the machine is just a variation on a theme. It's a great way to get a little bit more direct movement to this area. It's also awesome for what the one big topic tip I offered yesterday, which was constipation and urinary incontinence. If that's what your child is dealing with, this gets the movement here a little bit more direct without sitting on it if that's not your cup of tea. If this is great, this feels good, your kid wants a little bit more action, widen up the knees just slightly. I wouldn't go more than hip width apart on this one. You could, again, just play with your angles, see what feels good. The last variation I wanted to show you on this, many of you that maybe do yoga or Pilates are familiar with the cat-cow. The cat-cow can be done 2 ways, with the hands on the machine, or in this case, what we're doing today with the knees on the machine. And in this position, the hips are moving up and down, side to side. By leaning over and bending at the hips, it just moves the hips and the low back in a very different way. This is awesome if you do deal with low back tension, if you're lacking flexibility, you just want to increase lymph and circulation in this area. But if you're dealing with constipation, incontinence, you know, maybe add some Kegels to this. Try leaning backwards, turning it into more of a stretch. Or lean forward. Whatever kind of feels good to you. This is another one I want you guys to experiment with. Kids are good at having curiosity. You should always have curiosity for the rest of your life, or you'll never experiment and play around with your vibration machine. Be curious. Let your kids be curious, but keep the durations short. 2 to 3 minutes before bed, max time. See how they feel. You can always add more time later in the week, but we have a tendency, you know, we've been doing things for, 5-10 years. We get a vibration machine and we go from a minute to 10 minutes in the course of the first week. We progress too quickly on time. And the other common thing I want you to be good teachers, my therapists, my parents, the care providers in general. If you're using a plate with a kid, teach them about the amplitude, teach them about the different speeds. It's never one number or setting or movement. It's all these little nuances that I want you to experiment with so you can determine what feels most comfortable for the position you're trying to do on the machine. So if you're feeling a little itchy as a new user, I had about 3 questions this morning about the itch. Itchiness is an increase in circulation, lymphatic movement, extreme itchiness. When people say, oh, W is driving me crazy, usually is an indication of too much time, too much intensity. You've got a whole lot of blood flow and circulation going on here that your body's maybe just not accustomed to. If you're dealing with a deficiency, an injury, perhaps you've got a condition, some people have a histamine, elevated histamine response. If you're dealing with mast cell activation syndrome or POTS, sometimes these conditions elevate histamines in our system when we're active in general. But we don't think about these things on a vibration plate because they're more effective in less time. There's more going on in less time. So please, 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 when you're teaching your kids to use a vibration plate, the biggest tip I can give you is to spend time working in short durations. Perfect 1 or 2 exercises. If you're not an exercise guru now, perhaps spend some time with a trainer or looking at some of the more videos provided by Life Pro on Facebook, YouTube, however you find them, and get good structure to your exercise positions, get into good habits of using it more effectively. And a lot of times the advantage of the plate to the kids is it's a quick, fun, easy thing to do. So you can get away with a lot of movement, break up that stagnant day, use it as recovery, use it as a sleep aid. All the same reasons we as adults are drawn to vibration plates, our kids are curious about them. So it's never a no with kids, regardless of what you may be dealing with medically. Same goes for adults. It's often just a matter of modifications to what you're doing on the plate, be that positions, settings, or durations. There's always a way to be active using this tool. Thank you for letting me ramble on the end. I deal with a lot of kids, and there is, to a degree, some fear out there in the community about how to use these, whether you're able to use these. And if you're wondering if your kid can use a vibration plate, it's basically the same question. Just look in the mirror and say, can my kid be active, or should my kid be active, or should my kid be working on some recovery? Should my kid be working on some flexibility? Do they need an increase in circulation? They're just littler versions of us. So let's get them into those good habits earlier on. I don't know if anyone's got questions today. I did have a little bit of trouble. I noticed after the live, Facebook is always changing things on the back end. And I noticed there were questions coming to me from the VIP group that were not showing in the program that I'm using right now. So if you're asking me questions and it feels like I'm ignoring you, some of them aren't coming through until after the live. If you are making a comment on the main Life Pro page, I do seem to be seeing those. If you do have a question, please post it regardless of whether it seems like I'm answering them or not, and I will get to those after the live. If you're watching this on a recorded basis, please tag me at Debbie with a Y. If you have questions specific to using a plate with your child, you're using one now and you're looking for some clarity or some pointers. I've done about 5 or 6 sessions on kids now. So lots of ways that they can benefit just like you. And if they're curious about them, roll with it, encourage it. It's like saying, no, Tommy, mommy wants to exercise. You shouldn't. Encourage their curiosity. This is a good thing for them. And I will get to your questions on a recorded basis. Thank you for joining me. Don't work too hard. And I will see you next week I don't remember what next week's topic is, but I will see you on Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I look forward to seeing you then. Have a great rest of your week. Don't work too hard. And I'll talk to you again very soon.